Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm gonna make some pork dumplings. The first thing you need to do is chop up some cabbage and put about a teaspoon salt on it and mix it up nicely and let it sit for 10 minutes and then squeeze out the juices. Now I have a little bit more here than what I need. You only need about a half a cup. I'm gonna use the rest for something else, but I'm using canned cabbage. That's why this looks like that. The next step is to sort of make a paste out of your ground pork. I have a tiny food processor here, so I'm gonna do it in probably 3 stages because I cannot fit the whole pound of meat in here. So a pound of ground pork, put that into your food processor, however much you can fit in here. We'll just start with that. A little bit of soy sauce, probably a tablespoon. A few drops of sesame oil. Maybe a teaspoon of ginger. I'm gonna use ginger powder. Ground black pepper. I'm also going to put a little bit of onion powder. That's kind of optional. And for the garlic, I just want to show you a trick that you don't have to peel the entire skin off the garlic. If you have nice organic or you grow on your own garlic, if you're gonna press it anyway, you can leave some of the skin on. And once you press it, you just get rid of the skin that way. I will put a lot of garlic in here. And I will also need some garlic for my dipping sauce later. You can certainly use garlic powder instead, fresh. I also am going to put in some spring onions. I will finely chop them though. I'm debating whether to put it in here or just put it into the mix later, but I think I'm gonna put it in here, let it get chopped up. You can also put chives instead. I do have chives in my garden, but I also have these spring onions that I wanted to use up first. Put a little bit of salt in here as well. Make it nice and flavorful. And then just mix it all up. This will allow us to keep the filling nice and compact, so it's easier to fill your dumplings. Put it into this bowl because, as I said, I'm gonna make multiple trips with this processor since it's so tiny. Now if you don't have a food processor, you just kind of knead it with your hands until you get a good consistency. So next, I'm not gonna put more garlic or soy sauce in here or all those, but I'm gonna just put more in this batch. I'm gonna put some more green onions. I think this is good. And lastly, I'm gonna take my cabbage and put it through the food processor as well. I want those as fine as possible to mix it in with the meat. So yeah, if you have a big food processor, you're lucky, because you can do it all at once. Let's see, I'm gonna put about, I don't know, half a cup, maybe a cup. We'll see how it turns out. Let's try with this amount. Okay, I think that's enough for my purpose. You can certainly put more cabbage in it, because technically you can make this all vegetarian if you want to. Just grind up some vegetables with the cabbage. So now I'm gonna just smash it together with the cabbage and the meat and the seasoning. Remember, I only put seasoning in the first batch, so all that needs to be incorporated into the mix. Also, you might want to put a little bit of wine vinegar in here, but that would be just about a tablespoon maybe. However, I'm not putting any because the cabbage that I'm putting in here has been marinated in the canning process, so it does have some sourness to it. So how do you know if your mix is well seasoned? Some people think this is gross, but I'll taste it. Definitely salty enough. I can taste the ginger, I can taste the garlic for sure. I'm thinking I'm gonna put a little bit more sesame oil. Oh, that might be a little bit too much. Hold on. Let's drain out some. Don't want to go overboard like I did. Because then it's going to overpower the taste. You don't want that either. If you don't like the taste of sesame oil, just put a little bit of any kind of oil. You kind of need that to get that paste consistency that I'm looking for here. Let's taste it again. Oh yeah, that makes a huge difference. It just adds that more umami taste. Leave this for a little bit while I clean up here and set up for the next stage. The next thing I'm gonna work on is the dipping sauce. First, a couple of cloves of garlic, and I'm just gonna work it in this jar. It's just easier to mix and pour. I'm gonna put a half a teaspoon of ginger powder. I'm gonna put a teaspoon of hot red pepper flakes. If you don't want it spicy, then you can use paprika probably, or nothing. And then we're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of sugar, a tablespoon or so vinegar, regular vinegar. If you have some rice vinegar, that would be nice, but I don't, so for that reason I'm gonna put some balsamic vinegar in here, maybe a teaspoon. It adds to the color, and it just a different level of taste, sourness, sweetness. I'm also gonna put some of this sauce in it because this always gives me a good result in layering the taste. Just a few drops. A very tiny bit of sesame oil. Try not to overdo it this time. I'll put it in a spoon so I don't make a mistake. Here we go. Just like that. And then I'm gonna put in about a 1/4 cup of, I'm gonna make a lot of this, right? So about a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And equal amount of water, so a 1/4 cup of water. And dissolve the sugar. So I have about a 1/2 cup of sauce. But we're gonna make a lot of dumplings, so I need a lot of dipping sauce. Now, just to get fancy, I probably will just squeeze in a little bit of lemon juice. Just a few drops. And add a bunch of chopped green onion or chives if you have it. Now, if you didn't use sesame oil, and even if you did, what you also want to add is some oil, because it's going to help the sauce stick to your dumpling. So I'm just going to put in some avocado oil, maybe a tablespoon. Let's taste this. Oh, a matter of fact, I think I might add some more hot pepper flakes to make it a little more spicy. This is perfect. So I'll put this in the fridge, and when we're ready, we're gonna put these into little dipping bowls. So this part is the most time consuming, which is filling the wrappers, making them into dumplings. I'm actually using wonton wrappers that are already made. These were frozen and now they're thawed. And there are kind of large size wonton wrappers, but you can make dumplings out of this, or you can make your own. Have a little water here, wet your finger and wet 2 sides of the square. Take a tablespoon of your filling, put that in the middle, and I do this in 2 stages, and you don't have to do it that way, but because of the material I have, I feel that I have a better success if I just crimp the sides where I wetted it, right? Make sure they're closed. And then I set them on a plate. And I do them all this way, and then I come around and I will fold them up again. You'll see in a minute. Let me do a few. Make sure you crimp them down real well so they don't come apart. But you see what happens, what could happen is it comes apart in the middle. Just pinch it up, and again we're gonna fold this again. I have not used up all the meat. I'm gonna make some tomorrow. Bring a good pot of water to boil. I have this pot halfway full with just regular water. And while that's boiling, we're gonna take our dumplings and shape them into their final stage. And you can do this as you're dropping in here, but I'm just gonna do them all and then ready for dropping. So why I do this in 2 stages, because the first stage where I crimp the sides, the second stage is where I fold it up, because from having the meat in here, this actually gets softer, just enough so I can shape it much easier. And the shaping is really easy. You just wet this little corner, you fold it and stick these 2 corners together and crimp them together with your fingers. So that's all I'm gonna do next. See how this is broken here? So I'm gonna actually fold it the other way. And it took care of it. So my water is finally boiling, but here are my dumplings that I folded. So if you want to know how many I have here, I have 24. So from a pound of pork, you probably will be able to make 36. So your water is rolling, boiling heavily, and you can start putting your dumplings in here. Now if you want to steam these, that's fine too, but I'm going to boil them because I find it just easier. And I don't want to put too much in here because they get stuck together perhaps, but I'm going to put in about 12. I think I can get away with 12, and then that way I can cook them in 2 batches. I'm gonna cook these. I'm gonna slow down the cooking a little bit. I don't want them to fall apart. Just boiling them for 5 minutes, I find that that's the best way to make sure that the filling will cook, because the wrapping will definitely cook real quickly, but you want to cook the filling. Remember, raw meat. About halfway, you want to give them a gentle stir. Make sure that none of them are stuck on the bottom. If you have plenty enough water, it's probably not gonna be sticky, but they will eventually float on the top, as you can see, and you can just make sure they're not stuck together. That's all you have to do, very gently. They're already looking good. Okay, the dumplings are done. I'm gonna go ahead and put them into a strainer, fish them out, because I want to do another batch in the same water. Look at how plump they are. They're beautiful. And while it's boiling, I'm going to put in my next batch of 12. I just wanted to show you to compare. This is before cooking and this is after cooking, so it does swell up. Let's plate this. I'm gonna serve myself 6 of these. Look at that, they're so nice and juicy and plump and so flavorful. They're just nice to eat. And here is our dipping sauce. Make sure you mix it up nicely before serving. Pour it into a dipping dish. Oh yeah. And it's ready for eating. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're gonna make it and enjoy eating it. See you next time.